Hello, everybody. It's Alessandro from Innovate with Impact, hashtag small relief. I have the amazing pleasure to be here today with Paco. Hey, Paco, how's it going?
Very good. Thank you for the introduction and thank you for this invitation. Ready to be part of this experiment?
Absolutely. Let's do this together. We were talking about bringing sunshine. You are in Argentina right now, in Buenos Aires, in Recoleta, and I used to live there for 3 months. And I'm in Zurich, and in both places it's raining, so we definitely need to create some sunshine right now.
Yeah, definitely. Normally here is very good weather, but today the last 24 hours was raining like crazy and the sky is super gray.
Well, we'll make the best out of it. Before we
Please.
get started, Paco, if you don't mind, could you quickly introduce yourself about your background, what it is that you do?
Yeah, my name is Paco Savio. I'm 58 years old. I was born in Buenos Aires. I was living for many years in Barcelona, in Spain, and then back in Buenos Aires. And now the last 8 years I'm living in Zurich. I'm a co-founder of a Balboa movement, the gym. I'm a creative director. I have a studio called Remolino, and my passion and my will is to add craziness to different type of projects and to help entrepreneurs to make things happen. And that's my goal. That's my life. I put a lot of energy into working, and I love to really to help people to think in a different way through design, through ideas, through concepts, through life, through philosophy. Okay, what's going on with this, and let's go deep into what you want to develop, and that's my goal.
Mm. What I always appreciated about you, and you and I a couple of years ago were part of a panel about failure. And what I
Yeah.
really appreciate about you is this power and this energy, this positive energy that you have, which is very cool. And it affects or kind of like infects other people as well.
Well, it's about chemic and energy and combustion and passion. Yeah, it's about because we have to work normally in visible things, but we work a lot into the invisible, and the invisible need like extra power to be seen.
Mhm.
If
Absolutely.
someone is hidden or if someone is not that into the attraction, you need to give the fire to that. So the fire is like a call of action in a way.
Absolutely. So let's dive right into it. How has your life changed in the past month or two? Like, how has the coronavirus affected your life, your surroundings, your businesses? What have you been up to?
Well, it's really hard, and I'm not 100%, assuming the reality because I don't know yet the reality. So now it's like about we are swimming or we are sailing in without a direction. The compass is not showing us where is the north or where is the south. So it's a moment that we are totally lost because we assume or we think that things will be in one way or the other, but honestly I think we are lost. So we have to enjoy, we have to deal, we have to live, we have to live with this idea of being lost.
Mhm.
I think it's we went out for the forest to walk and now we don't know how to go back.
Mhm.
And especially maybe we know how to go back, but the big question is, should we go back to the place where we start? So honestly, I'm asking a lot of questions. I'm trying not to lose my positivity and my power, of course. And I think we're gonna find a way out of the forest for sure, but it will be a different way out, and also it's already a different forest. We are lost in the forest, but we really have to understand in a way where we are now.
Mhm.
And of course, there's a lot of data, there's a lot of manipulation, there's everything happens very fast, and so it's really a very complex moment in humanity. You
Mhm.
know, these 2 months of quarantine or pandemia, it really looks like 10 years of a war, because and also the economic effects, and also how all this is going to be in the social way, how we're going to relate each other after this, no?
Mhm.
And also the after will not be from one moment to the other. There will be like a lot of transitions. There's, to go out of this forest that we are all trapped in, there's a lot of transitions, and there's a lot of medium scapes. We maybe in one moment we will feel that we are out, but suddenly we are not out.
Mhm.
So it's a tricky, but of course it's great, because put all of us out of our comfort zone. We
Mhm.
were very comfortable, with our phones and with our Instagrams and with our blogs and with our ideas. We were thinking that consuming like crazy is the way, because we love products and we love to be chic. We love to invest or buy whatever is good. But now it's totally, I think it's sorry, I think it's a great moment for humanity, and to re-ask ourselves, well, about what we really want, and especially what we think of all this, no, and how we react to all this.
Mhm.
It's a it's a good moment. It's like a open page, like a white page, like a white canvas that we have to put the oil into the canvas. But of course, the canvas is not that white already. It's a process. It's
Mhm.
getting white every day, but it's so maybe one good advice is like try to put your canvas into white, because we always try to assume, or we want to have ideas, but of course the white, the page is not all that white.
Mhm.
So we are starting, okay, we're going to start with a like a poster or canvas, like the one you have at your back, and it's orange. Well, we have to assume that it's orange, and how the orange and the red and all this passion beautiful paint, by the way, you have at your back, how this will be affected by the new colors we're going to add, because we need to add new colors to all this. So, well, how, because how this will affect what we bring, no? Because now also the idea of past, present, future, it's like a pre pandemia, post pandemia. It's really, yeah, I'm in a way, I'm like I can be with a lot of angustia, like we
Mhm.
say in Spanish, or I can be afraid with fears. But also I think it's a very exciting moment, because when you don't know what's going to happen, it's like a more complex test. We have to all do like a PhD in something that we have no idea,
Yeah.
and there's no teachers and there's no gurus to have as a reference. So in a way, we all need to hold our hands, help each other a lot.
We have to
I think
become our own gurus.
and yeah, and start also learning how to make these new questions before
Mhm.
even try to find any answer.
I absolutely love what you just said about, the canvas and the forest, and I think these are extremely fitting analogies, and I agree with what you were saying earlier. In a sense, this is kind of creating this entirely new kind of collaborating and working with each other. We are completely disconnected physically to a certain degree, but then also coming together at the same time in entirely new and different ways.
Yeah, and I think it's not also a question of how rich or poor you are. Of course, it's make a big difference, but I think it's how you act or react to the fairness. And it doesn't
Mhm.
matter how much money you got in your bank. because it's also how you react with the fear, how you react with these new ideas, how open you're going to be for new things,
Mhm.
how open you're going to be for holding hands or for hugging, even if maybe hugging it will be forbidden in the future, we don't know.
Yeah.
And so it's like okay, how this new humanity will be. And I think, of course, it makes a difference if you can stay at home and if you have a home to stay, because outside in Buenos Aires, there's a lot of people sleeping in the street,
Exactly.
and not only in Buenos Aires, everywhere. Or maybe not in Zurich, but for sure in Paris. For
Mhm.
sure, last time I've been in Paris, I was surprised how much people, these clochards, but the real clochards.
Yeah.
I always pay attention to clochards in a way like well, how, and I ask myself how they survive and how they, and many of them, they are very, very elegant. In a way, they have like a type of elegance that maybe some rich people, they don't even have.
Mhm.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Sometimes with very less elements, and but that also show us that it's about an attitude.
Mhm.
And maybe we should now learn more about homeless people. Maybe we should learn more how, okay, how they deal with this craziness, how they deal with their own fears, because normally they are there because of something that make a click in their mind. Of course, there's also like a need of the materiality and the money, but I think it's a lot about the mind also. The mind is a big driver. So now we adapt. Now we need to adapt our driver mind to this new reality.
Yeah.
And it's a funny and complex, really complex situation.
And it's interesting what you're saying because essentially, of course, what we must not forget, and this is also a common denominator that I keep seeing, is that if you see people around you that are struggling, help them. I think now is more time than ever to really make sure that the people around you are okay, whether it be elderly people, whether it be homeless people. We need to make sure that we don't forget. Of course, everybody's having their own issues right now, and you need to take care of yourself. Kind of like putting the mask on yourself, making sure you're fine, but at the same time, maybe look outside the window and see what's going on, and maybe there's somebody out there who needs help.
Yeah. And also, for sure, we're going to learn a lot about the one who we assume, we think they need help more than us.
Mm.
Maybe when we are helping the other, we are learning from the other. So because now all paradigms are changing. So what is a need? What is help? What is, who is helping who?
Yeah.
Because it's many times when we help people in the street, when we give, sometimes I give 50 pesos or 100 pesos, which is a $1, 1 Swiss franc, to a guy in the street. I'm helping him or I helping myself, like this be old question about charity. But now it's okay, who is learning from who. No,
Mm.
we really need to be open, and we really need to be focused to see that we can learn more from the people who need help than from us that we can provide help. The
Absolutely.
giver, the provider, the receiver, all the channels are now open in a new way.
Hmm.
So I think it's, wow,
Yeah.
there's a lot to be learned.
There's a
And
lot to be learned.
we are not even in the kindergarten. We
Yeah.
are not, because we are not even in the kindergarten, because we are not allowed to play as kids. So not even the techniques of kindergarten can help us or can solve this problem. It's
Absolutely.
funny.
Absolutely, and I feel like we'll only be able to get through this together. So there has to be a sense of community. But what I would
Yeah,
love to do is
sure.
talk a little bit. You obviously, as mentioned in the beginning, are a very creative person, and you co-founded, co-created one of the most amazing gyms that I have ever been a part of here in Zurich. And
Thank you.
so I would like to talk just for a moment about if you don't mind sharing a little bit about your creative process. Like, how does, how do you apply creativity? I think creativity right now is something extremely important. Is it something that just comes to you? Is it something where you have a process? How does that work?
Well, there's not like always the same type of process, but they always start with a need, and then then when you got a need, you start adding like a lot of fantasies, and then you start adding like a lot of questioning, and you start like creating like your own map, and they say, okay, well, I want to go sailing and I want to arrive to this island, and I want this island to be ready for this and that, and I want in the island to have not green trees, I want to have violet trees. So it's like it's a great process, because then you also have to deal a lot with reality, because it's not just about your desires and fantasies. There's also a market that is, guiding or ruling and putting like a pressure and putting like a lot of reality, market, audience. So it's like a type of choreography, like a dance. You try to hypnotize the market, and the market try to impose you the rules of buying or not buying. So, but it's always a question of trying to give a soul to the brands or the project you are involved. Try to make them, authentic. Try to make them real. Try to make them powerful. And also, it's important to understand what you put in the core, what you put in the center, and what not. And also, I think authenticity is one of the key elements. Well, I've been always very attracted by projects that have their own soul. So I was like always like a provider, or like an extra power soul to the project. But I think it's one of the good things of Balboa is we were always authentic. We were not trying to be something that we are not. Sometimes it's dirty, sometimes it's not as comfortable as you think, sometimes it's cool, but it's not that cool. But we did a lot of mistakes, but it's real. It's the classes are good. The coaches put a lot of passion. We put coaches into the middle. And of course, coaches are humans, and not every day is the best class. Not every day you are ready for that type of class or for the other. I think it's like, and also you learn. You try to we relate a lot with the community. We listen. We were very autocritics. We listen to, and then of course you cannot change everything from one day to the other. But also we put a lot of focus in locations, and the coaches, the locations. Now we are doing very good with live classes. We open a live channel. Before, at the same time all this was starting, we were very fast. Eric and Timo and the whole team they were super fast in creating this live channel. So the idea also, in a way, of the projects is try to be as close as you can from the consumer, and also make the audience part of the experience and create an experience for them. And of course it's a lot of process that goes together. I'm already 38 years working into this, a lot of time. So and I'm sometimes it sounds like I'm not that methodic, or sometimes it sounds that I'm more chaotic. But of course there is a method, but there's also like a lot of space for chaos. I grew up in Buenos Aires, and I learned from chaos, because it's a chaotic big city, dealing with a lot of people, with a lot of differences, with a lot of economic problems, social problems, politic problems. We were, dealing with dictators, with killers that were, killing a lot of people without even asking who you are. just because they think you don't look good.
Mm.
So I think you know, growing up in a city, in a chaotic city like this, helped me a lot with to deal with ideas and with creativity, and also everything can change in from one moment to the other. So
Mm.
okay, now it's extreme with this corona, but it's not new for me that okay, I have to readapt once again,
Yeah.
because you know, in the year 2001 was a big economic crisis, people lost all the money in the bank, but here we are again.
Mm.
So I think it's, we can also be like Argentinians, we are a very bad example for a lot of things, because but also we can be a good example for other things, no? And I think we should learn from chaos. Societies that they were you know, grew up and they make their living in the last time with a lot of chaos, they have to, they have more to give to the community than the ones that they've been all in order, no? I
Mm.
think it should be a combination of both.
Hey, chaos is an essential part of the process in a certain sense. Also, you can have a very, what's the other side of it, right? It's structured, it's rigid, it's, it cannot move. Sometimes chaos can bring you the right amount of unlocking certain creativity that you would not have been able to otherwise. So to open your mind also for new opportunities.
Yeah, because chaos is a vivid, and it means flexibility, and it means it's smooth and can move. You know, if there's no chaos, it's too straight. To, you know what? I love this concept of Schublade in Switzerland. You know, Schubladismus, and I'm a big fan against Schubladismus. You know, against this idea of you know,
Boxing
the,
it.
the box where you have to enter or where you have to put the ideas. And I think it's like now is time for no more schublades, you know,
Yeah.
definitely. You know,
No.
if there were some schublades still in the table, there's time to put them out.
Absolutely. Right now is the time for creativity. Right now is the time to really seize the opportunity and make new things happen that were not possible before, maybe. So that leads me to my last
Yeah,
question. And
and
sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
sorry, and yeah, and before creativity, it's time to understand the new reality and make new questions,
Yeah.
because we cannot create something without knowing what's going on. Because you know, chaos and this craziness that I use in my creative process, but there's always a starting point that is clear. Well, we want to do a gym, or we want to do a bar. But now the big question is, well, what we need to do, what we want to do in this new reality. Is this real? Because we were all in a way like dreaming. We all want to have a cool hotel, or we all want to go to cool bars, cool restaurants, and cool gyms, and you know, all these advice and all these recommendations that we have all together. But now there's moment for big questions,
Mhm.
and also to be allowed to burn the ashes from the past. We should go, you know, there's also ceremony time to really burn, you know, the old phantoms.
Mhm.
We are not even, we are now in a process as society. I think we are start to discovering some new phantoms, some new monsters. We need to burn them slowly, but before we need to know who they are.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. I mean,
So,
you need to understand what it is that you're dealing with, because otherwise you have no chance.
yeah.
And I think, in the beginning when we're talking about, the direction, being lost in the forest, the compass, somehow it needs to be created. And if we don't do that, you just start creating out of nothing, and it's going to be that much more difficult. You need to find somehow a point. And sometimes it's also just about being brave and creating new opportunities, not knowing if it's going to work out or not.
Yeah.
That leads me to my last question, and it's a very simple one. Now, you and I have both been pretty much on lockdown for almost 2 months, right? So, how is this? How is this going for you? And what's the first thing that you're going to be doing once you get out of the lockdown?
Well, basically, I've been locked down, but I've been able to do some walks, and I really got the feeling that I need to keep on walking. I need to make long walks,
Mhm.
slowly walks, and just watch the trees and watch the light and watch the sky and watch the colors of the city and the colors of the parks. I really, if something I'm missing is to walk.
Mhm.
And of course, walking is like a choreography, it's like a theater. You start walking, and then when you are walking in the park, you meet someone and you start talking and walking and talking. I think walking is something that gives the mind something very special.
Mhm.
And also this idea of we have to change everything inside our minds and outside our bodies, but without walking, I think it's more complex. We need to learn from Robert Balz. Robert Balz, this Swiss writer.
Yes, 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 yes.
Robert
Robots,
Balz,
yes.
yeah, and there's a very good novel out of him that's called The Walker, El
Yeah,
Caminante. And
yeah.
this idea of it's a crazy guy who cannot stop walking. So every day he wake up and walks and walks and walks. And I think, at least for me, walking is like it's like a start. You start like a baby. First you stand up, so now we in one moment we're going to stand up again, and we have to start walking again, learning
Mhm.
also how to walk in a new way.
Absolutely. So that leads me to the end of this interview. And, Paco, I appreciate so much, the fact that you and I can have this conversation over such a huge distance and sharing some thoughts and insights, and especially you sharing some really cool information. I really appreciate that. And my wish is that when you come back to Zurich, that you and I get to meet and hang out, and without any restrictions, and we just get to maybe go for a walk together.
Yeah, thank you very much. I
Thank
was also, before you said, I was, when you told that we're going to meet, also it's emotional because it's not easy to be far away from your places, and especially I'm always traveling, but what is not easy is like okay, you have to assume maybe I have to stay here more time of what I was expecting. And yeah, it's a lot of emotion, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Paco. I look forward to seeing you very soon.
Take care. Bye bye.
Ciao,
Ciao.
Paco.